It's the Forever Knight-athon. We're recapping and reviewing every single episode of Season 1 of the 1990s Canadian police procedural about a vampire detective taking a bite out of crime. When last we left Nick Knight, he was looking to find his mysterious former master, LaCroix, the man who made him a vampire, or, to use the show's extremely sick and cool parlance, the man who brought him across. That legit owns. What a spooky, ethereal way to say it. Now, of course, I was eager to talk about LaCroix in my first episode, because I'm usually eager to talk about LaCroix. He is the best character in this or any television program, but I had to wait, because he deserved more focus than I could cram into that episode's video. But this episode is his time to shine, baby. LaCroix is played by Nigel Bennett, who, if you're cool and you fuck, you'll recognize from the Canadian science fiction program Lex. Otherwise, you might recall from some commercials for oatmeal crisp.
Away home. You cannot go home. I'll no be staying with a lot of heathens who would call this oatmeal.
But it's oatmeal crisp, Dad. It's not oatmeal.
Well, you've got that right.
Probably shouldn't have opened with that. That kind of kills the character's mystique a little bit. LaCroix is extremely Vegeta-coded. He is the bad guy, arch-enemy, deuteragonist, who also somehow finds himself having to help out the hero every time, in every episode, all the time, anytime he shows up. More so in later seasons, where he's less of an explicit villain like he is here. Hey, did you like that, by the way? How I used the word deuteragonist, a word I learned from the Mob Psycho 100 wiki, in case you thought I was becoming a learned academic type. He's also Vegeta-coded in that he is the best character, and I love him, and also he has a very high forehead. I will not be accepting criticism of LaCroix at this time or any time, and before any of you start, that is indeed how you say his name. It's a little inconsistent in the first episode, but they settle on it. He is not LaCroix, he is LaCroix. 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 He is not a lightly carbonated flavored water. He is an ancient Roman vampire with an inexplicably French name. The episode begins with LaCroix giving his perspective over the events of the previous episode, making even the previously on section interesting and engaging.
Someone's been killing the homeless with typo blood. One of the victims had punctures in his neck.
Nick, is this something that I should worry about?
Is it me, Nicholas?
He hasn't been making these kills, if that's what you think. Nowadays, nobody is that stupid.
Is it you?
Nick confronts his former master in a dark alley. In pursuit, the museum curator, Elise, who saw a photo of Nick in a history book about the original excavation of the site with the vampire-curing cup. And she knows he's immortal, and she's starting to put two and two together. They walk and or maybe fly to an old meatpacking plant full of colored gels that if they used today, people would say they were ripping off ContraPoints. Elise sees LaCroix drinking some pig's blood. She doesn't like that. Gross. He offers some to Nick, but Nick would never drink the blood of a fellow officer. And just watch my man chew this scenery.
You sure you're not hungry?
All I want is the cup.
I don't think you know what you want. You never have. Immortality. Wasn't that your big wish? To live forever. To never have to wind up like this.
If you're not on board with LaCroix now, get out. Go away. Fuck off. You don't deserve my videos. Nick accuses LaCroix of being the vampire killer, reasoning that since LaCroix is both a vampire and a killer, he is the most likely candidate. LaCroix's like, me? Dog, I killed the security guard, but not all the homeless people. I'm not an asshole. Nick's like, why should I believe you though? You're evil and shit. LaCroix's like, dude, I'd tell you if I did it. Killing people's fine. I would totally own up to it. I kill people every day. Killing people rules. I love killing people. They tussle and Nick vamps out, making Elise scream in shock. Nick's like, yo, leave. Too late though. LaCroix pounces on her and makes Nick choose between saving her life or stopping the cup from smashing on the ground. Nick, ever the hero, chooses to save her rather than retrieve the cup, sacrificing his best shot at becoming human again without even thinking twice. Because it's just a Batman comic, isn't it? LaCroix is, of course, delightfully smug about this. Elise escapes, and then LaCroix kicks our hero right in his little nickies. And he's like, okay, wise guy, you want to be mortal so bad? I'm going to chop your fucking head off. How does that sound? Nick manages to keep his head on straight, wink, and kicks LaCroix into a meat hook, definitively killing him forever. Trust me, bro, for real. That makes him sad that he had to kill his ex-boyfriend, and he remembers the night after he killed somebody for the first time and how much he regretted becoming a vampire pretty much immediately. But LaCroix convinces him it's actually cool and good to be a vampire. And I know what you're thinking. Did these two men have sex? Are they having a bunch of sex whenever we're not looking? Is the sex good? Who's the top? And is it definitely LaCroix? Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this was the 90s. They weren't allowed to show all of the gay sex that the characters logically must have been having. The best we're going to get for the hero of the show is some light coding, some longing glances here and there, but don't be a nerd. These two are having sex all the time. Like, all the time. Being a vampire means living an eternal pansexual fuckfest. Just like, that's science. Nick leaves the meatpacking plant. I bet he would have liked to get LaCroix to pack some meat. But it's daylight and he's going to burst into flames. He pops into his trunk, paying off a line of dialogue from the previous episode.
Why don't you drive a nice, clean city car, huh? A regular beater. I mean, we all know you're Joe Cool, but I think that
Trunk space.
Trunk space?
The 1962 Cadillac has more trunk space than any car made in the last 30 years.
Elise calls into the precinct asking about Nick, who hasn't checked in. Captain Stonetree is worried after Nick stormed off in a huff, blaming himself for Topper's death in the last episode. He has his men out looking for Nick, who find and tow his Cadillac. Skanky goes to get it and says this.
Sure, he looks good in leather. He's got the blonde hair and everything. Between you, me, and the lamppost, he's in the dark about a few things.
Okay, all right. Never mind, I guess. I guess you can have a little better than coding in the 90s. Just kidding. Skanky isn't attracted to Nick, but he is kind of low-key attracted to his car. He kind of wants to fuck the car a little bit. He takes it for a joyride, completely unaware that Nick is sleeping in the trunk. Nick wants LaCroix to sleep in his trunk. Cut to an eerie POV shot of someone wheeling a cart full of blood bags down a hallway at the hospital. The desk nurse talks to someone on the phone about the cops, and the POV man's eyes twitch dramatically. Look at this. This looks so fucking good. That's so visually interesting. This is a TV show from the fucking 90s. It looks so good. Nick creeps out of his trunk all discreet-like, and he gives a nice little one-liner when this lady sees him.
It's a little bit cramped. Can't beat the rent.
Turns out Skanky drove his caddy to the hospital, and Nick uses his super hearing to observe Skanky speaking with the desk nurse about some doctor named Dr. Kipper. So what does Nick do? He immediately breaks into Kipper's office without a fucking warrant and gets smacked in the face with sunlight. Serves you right, pig. Skanky runs into Dr. Fenner, who is the cop that took his blood in the previous episode for the blood clinic. They talk about Nick's cool car and how cool a car it is and how much they like it. Nick checks in with Natalie, and there's a break in the case. Skanky's theory was right. All of the victims of the vampire killer were blood donors, except the guard, who LaCroix killed, which is why that one didn't match the killer's MO. Nick sneaks back into his trunk to catch some more Z's, but overhears something. It's Dr. Fenner doing some kind of sabotage with the car. Skanky starts rocking out to some polka, which is how you showed that somebody sucked in the 90s. And pulls out of the parking spot with the camera, lingering on a puddle of fluid. Fluid from the car. And then the brakes don't work. Weird. Why does nobody ever just take their foot off the accelerator? That won't stop you immediately. There's still momentum, sure, but eventually you're going to slow down. Skanky fucking totals Nick's car. He has to bring it to the auto shop, and the mechanic makes a big show of how he can't open the trunk and how absolutely fucked this car is.
Look, man, find me a caddy from some junkyard, and then maybe I can do something. Otherwise, you got 2 tons of scrap.
Because it's dented. Because he dented it, you see. Skanky is, of course, terrified to have to tell Nick, and even more terrified when Nick just appears out of nowhere. He lets Skanky twist in the wind for a bit before revealing that the brake line had been cut by the killer.
Typo and homeless. They were the keys all along.
I knew that.
I know.
So you're not mad about the car?
I could kill you about the car. But I owe you an apology about the case.
Look at these two guys starting to get over their differences. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, their styles complement each other quite a bit. Who'd have thunk it? Look how good this show looks. Elise breaks into Nick's apartment because he had, for no real reason, revealed his alarm code to her in the previous episode. Not his address, though, so I don't know how she found that. She finds the other jade cup there, and I fucking love how cheap and shitty these cups look. Like, it was from TGI Fridays or something. What are you doing? Someone is stalking her in the shadows, and turns out it's Jan, Nick's homeless pal. Elise calls an ambulance, but Jan doesn't want to go to the hospital because that's where Dr. Fenner will be, and he'll kill her, as he's the killer. Nick and Skanky ask about Dr. Fenner, and the desk nurse is like, "Oh, Dr. Fenner? He's a normal guy. Probably wouldn't murder anybody. Why do you ask?" And Nick's like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Just for the record, though, anything unusual happened to him lately?" And the desk nurse is like, "No, not really. Not off the top of my head." Although one thing that does kind of stick out, actually, now that I think about it, now that you point it out, his mother did recently die from hepatitis that she received because of a faulty blood transfusion. It was always hard for her to get blood transfusions on account of her type O blood. He's been killing homeless people who donate blood because he blames them for what happened to his mother, which is really bad news for Elise because, thinking he was the ambulance driver, she buzzed him into Nick's apartment. Luckily, she had just been on the phone with Nick, who had called to check his answering machine, which is like, before we had voicemail, you used to have a little tape machine that you could Leave messages, ask your parents about it. Nick flies home to save the day while Jeannie attempts to shoo Dr. Fenner away with a broom like he's a spider. She tries setting it on fire, but Fenner is unfazed and like, man, I wish Dr. Fenner had more to do in this episode. He manages to convey a cold, dispassionate menace and wild-eyed frenzy, like, effortlessly. He tosses the broom aside onto a big puddle of conveniently placed paint remover. Just as he goes in for the kill, Nick bursts in through the window and stops him, nearly eating him in the process, before tossing him aside. Nick gets Jeannie to safety and then rushes into the flames, which LaCroix established earlier can hurt and kill vampires.
You want mortality? I'll give you mortality. With fire, a stake through the heart, the sun. All of these will do it, my friend.
He does that to save Elise, who's behind the fire. Well, while we're on the subject of LaCroix, he then bursts into Nick's apartment and eats Dr. Fenner, and Nick's like, come on, dude. LaCroix's like, God, this guy sucks. I can eat this guy. This guy sucks.
I believe he got what was coming to him. Now it's your turn.
Nick is too weak to fight because he hasn't had any blood. Elise is like, fuck it, drink my blood, YOLO, I don't give a shit, I'll be a vampire, do it, bitch. LaCroix's like, yeah, do it, bitch, you little bitch, drink her. But Nick can't do that. He's not gonna fight as a vampire, he's gonna fight as a mortal.
You really think you can beat me as a mortal? Go to hell.
And as emotionally resonant as that is, it's not effective. LaCroix tosses him aside like he's a rag doll, and then gets distracted trying to gorble Elise before Nick penetrates him. LaCroix disappears in a flash of flame, presumably, this time for real, actually dead forever, trust me bro. In a little coda at the end, Nick donates his cup to the museum to replace the one that got stolen, because why not? It's useless now without the other one. He laments that as an immortal vampire, he can never truly love anyone, which is why he can never see Elise again, which is unfortunate, because, like, turns out she became a vampire somehow. It did seem like he saved her from LaCroix. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Holy shit, what an episode. There's simply no way the show is going to be able to sustain this level of quality. I anticipate a big drop-off tomorrow. And if you want to find out, you can see for yourself right now on patreon.com/scaredycats. Unless you're already looking at this on Patreon, and then I don't know, maybe not. I love how subtly they wove Dr. Fenner into the story, like it genuinely seemed like a little comic relief scene with Skanky being afraid of the killer. And then again, another little moment for him to just brag about the car he doesn't even own.
Do you know that the 62 Caddy has more trunk space than any other car made in the last 30 years?
Yeah, how's the mileage?
Hey, with a ride like that, who's counting?
But that was all set up. I try to keep these videos short. I cut a lot of that stuff out, and then it turns out it was important later. Like this, it's hard to cut anything. It's really tightly written. More so than anything, though, LaCroix.
The night crawlers waiting for you.
LaCroix is fully formed right out of the gates, a perfect foil for Nick's brooding stoic heroism. LaCroix owns. We are extremely based and LaCroix-pilled here at Scaredy Cats.
And I want to thank the people who will forever be my knights over at patreon.com/scaredycats. We've got, in particular, there's Verbena, Cooper Holmes, Joe McClory, Liz Widow, Maston Ginger, James Garford, C.H. Phillips, Gideon Charlotte Hollingsworth, Devin Kaler, Spooky Heather Sylvia, and definitely Todd.
And I, Bobby Duke, the star of the channel, would like to thank these other people who's also the stars of the channel on account of their support on Patreon. You got Jay Tony, Schadenfraulein, Lanston Tyne, Rachel Rat, Gato Moore, Carpad, Josh Manes, Hyla Tracy, Louisa Prito, who Mildo didn't even tell me to mention last week, thanks for that one, and Jesse. Use all as the stars of the channel. Why don't you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe? We're gonna do 22 of these fucking things. Why does it sound weird when I swear? I don't know. It just does. That don't sound right.
Are you coming, Nicholas?